Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this call with Imie and I. I'm happy to see you this morning. So I'm going to start right off with our question here. Imie, we've been really looking forward to this conversation. So who do you know who secretly hates you? That is the topic of our call this morning. Would you like to talk about that, Imie?
Who secretly hates me?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know.
That's why it's a secret, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't know who hates me because, of course, we're always wondering who hates us, who doesn't like us. And I for sure used to get really introverted and self-conscious on my face, my voice. I don't love my voice and my accent. Sometimes I forget to say the right words when I meant he or she because of my my language, really, because there's no he or she in the Philippine language. So that confused me sometimes. And of course, I don't know, whatever I do. But what I learned over the years is that it really doesn't matter, because whatever you do, right or wrong, someone will always dislike you and hate you. Right?
Yes.
And you can't manage that. How can you manage that? You can't control that. I mean, that's like high school. You never know who really hates you. And sometimes family members hate you. Sometimes friends who appears to be your friends hates you. Sometimes you, as a business owner, some associates maybe hates you or dislike you. I think hate is a strong word, but yes. Dislike you or secretly dislike you, or they get annoyed. You know, sometimes my kids tells me, it's like, Mom, you're too loud. Yeah. So that's one of the things. Sometimes I self-consciously make sure that I'm not too loud.
I was gonna say like family members. Sometimes some of that is like family members, but then there's people you really don't know that what they're thinking about you at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, as we bring ourselves online and as we expose ourselves, that doesn't sound right. Expose ourselves.
It's as that though, yeah.
As we get more visibility online, as we find on social media, there will be times where people will make comments and bad comments and, like, you know, make us feel like we're inadequate or that we're doing something wrong or we're annoying or whatever. But that's the questions, like, when do you know that you're not being annoying? You know what I mean? So I think it is hard to really manage who hates you and not hates you and loves you and who doesn't love you. I mean, who has the time for that?
I agree.
I don't know if you have time for that, to worry about that. So yeah. If we start worrying about those kind of things, we won't have time to focus on the things that matters. Because one thing is for sure, whatever you do, right or wrong, someone is not going to like it. I think I remember this quote from someone, that someone, no matter how peachy or how juicy a peach is, someone is always not gonna like peach, no matter how juicy it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Someone is always going to hate peach. Just that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how juicy and sweet it is. Someone is not going to like peach. That's just life.
Mm-hmm.
And as an executive, sometimes you make the right decision as CEO of your company. When you make this decision, there will be times when someone is not going to like it, or something is going to, or that decision is going to affect somebody negatively. I mean, you can't make a decision that will positively affect 100%. I mean, affect people 100% positively all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I mean?
For sure. We have Rena is on. We have a couple people on live. I'm just checking the comments every once in a while. And Rena says, I agree, we can't please everyone, but we shouldn't focus on what people think about us. We should do our best for our own sake, not because of what people think about us. So I guess she agrees with what you're saying. So do you have tips for us from going to, I mean, I know I think about what people think. That's why we started this conversation. And I think a lot of us do spend time and energy on that. And like you said, when we spend time and energy on that, it affects the way we talk. It affects the way we move. It affects, our message. And then we're not centered, we're not value centric maybe at that moment. So what are your tips, or how do you go from caring about it to, not caring about it?
Yeah, because it got me thinking when you asked me that question.
Mm-hmm.
So can you, since it blends with that question you asked me, which started this whole thing, can you ask me that question again so that?
Yes, it was what's specifically about in an interview, how you felt. Did you wonder, I asked you, did you wonder how people were judging you during your interview? Because an interview is something that is somewhat stressful. You're wondering about a lot of things. And I was wondering I asked you if you were wondering about how people viewed you during the interview and how that affected the way you felt during the interview. And you said, oh, I hadn't thought about it, or it hadn't even come to mind. And I was like, I would have been, definitely thinking about that. So especially different groups, different populations, different cultures, different, people that I care about, people that matter to me, and specifically the people I want to get the message to. Like, I want them to get me straight. I want them to understand. I want them to get it. But I'm worried that they won't. And then my message will just go like, blah. So that was my question at the moment for you. I'll continue checking the Facebook Live to see if we have questions, or Ness. We have Ness. Yeah, Ness is saying if they don't pay our bills, their opinion doesn't matter. I like that expression. So. Yeah,
so I kind of that question got me thinking, because at the same day I had a client that I was coaching and trying to get her to be more visible on social media, and she goes, well, it's overwhelming. And I asked her, so what is it that's overwhelming about it? It's like, I want to know. I'm really interested what she considered overwhelming. And she thought, well, I've failed before in all the businesses that I've tried and I promoted on my Facebook, and so it seems like now I'm going to be talking about my new business again, and it's like I feel like such a failure, right? So it got me back thinking, like, there's something about this that we need to discuss. So to answer that question, when you asked me that, I was like, okay, truthfully, I didn't think about it, because as I thought, I was teaching in the sales mastermind, a master class, it is important to understand who you are. And that is really the bottom line. When you understand who you are, what you stand for, your mission and your purpose, and the fact that you helped people with your message, the result that you get with your message, that really is your foundation. That is your unshakable foundation. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I cannot emphasize this enough because I've gone through it all. Being bullied, being in a foreign country in the 80s, and with my flaws. I mean, I'm not perfect. I have flaws. Being an introvert on top of that. So, and of course, in the workforce, being an Asian of color in the workforce, being passed up for promotion, etc., etc., etc. So these things are real, and I went through all that. And what I've discovered is the moment that I realize who I am and I embrace who I am, what I stand for, what mission is in life, and the result that I'm getting from the people that I connect with and work with, I was like, hey, this is what's important. This is what matters. So it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what other people would say, because what matters is my results. What matters is what I can do for people. So as far as the interview with Rebecca, of course, there were times where I thought I could have answered that better, the question better. And of course, the pictures that they showed, and it's like, okay, because I didn't have a lot of the pictures together, and I was like, oh, that wasn't so good of a picture. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, where did they get that picture? Kind of thing, right? Because I didn't provide those pictures. I was in Niagara, so I didn't have my database of pictures with me, right? So, but I said to myself, well, what matters is the message. I hope I was able to get that message out and help somebody who went through what I went through and who is looking for something. And I hope to be able to affect that person who would be watching it. And that's what really matters.
So it's important to understand who you are, what you stand for, your mission, your purpose. That becomes an unshakable foundation, and you embrace it. And when you know what matters and what's important, then you look at what the results are and what you can do for people. I'm not sure, this is not something we had discussed before. So I'd say, for example, your interview or otherwise, and anyway, to start, some people could share perhaps how they feel about this, what is important, who you are. I mean, everything we just talked about, people could start sharing with a video or a text, people who are watching us. I mean, you can start maybe sharing what is for you, what's important for you, what matters to you on our group, in the comments, in a post, in a video, in a text. It's a good way to practice, right? And my question would be, I guess what I always wonder about is, how can I see what my results are? How can I tell if, I know what I can do for people. I've worked on this before with your interview. Can you tell what the impact is? And I know we didn't discuss this before, so maybe we don't have answers. Maybe it's just a question. But do you have any thoughts on how can we verify at least that we're getting our message across? Because there are some things that we can change, right? If we're being really annoying to a vast majority of people, then they might not be hearing our message. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways of talking or ways of being that are more conducive to a harmonious result. So there's probably a balance somewhere in there. Do you have any ideas or thoughts? And like I said, we didn't discuss it before, so perhaps it's just an open question people can answer. What do you think about verifying the results? Is there a way to do that?
To verify people, or like
I don't know, because if we're looking, we do want to get the message across because we want to achieve our mission and vision. And so, I mean, we could be off base. Like we could be not in what we do, not in who we are, but perhaps in the way we're sharing our message. Maybe some people can advise us or help us. So perhaps having trusted people to give you feedback would be helpful still. Not what they think, but, you know, how would we get constructive feedback and not listen to what people are thinking about us, but still learn to get our message across better.
And that is why I emphasize to give feedback. Like, you know, on the 10X masterclass, I asked for feedback, and I'm still going to, I haven't published all those feedback, but as women entrepreneurs, it is really important for that person to get a feedback. If you receive something, and let's go back to that reciprocity that we were talking about, right? When you receive something good from somebody, when it changes you, when it changes something in your life, when it changes something in your business, you owe it to that person to give that gift back, because that person is gonna need it to elevate their result, and also to show that, you know, that person is getting some results. And it's not like a demand or something. I'm talking about like from we develop ourselves to come from a place of giving back, right? Mm-hmm. So that we can exercise that how would you word it? That ability, that skill to easily give back a good feedback when it is earned, right?
Exactly.
And sometimes sometimes we tend to forget, or like doesn't really think too much of it. It's like, nah, she knows I appreciate her.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's not good enough. It's not good enough in our world where it matters to our social, what do you call that? Social
presence or image, or
the social credibility.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a social credibility matters. So that's how you can help other women to really to grow. That's how we can help each other to grow, because those are important. Another thing that I want to mention, which I think in your earlier question, is so how do we make sure that we're acting in a way that we don't invite more criticism or whatever? Well, I don't want to focus on acting the right way, because I think it's important for us to really act with authenticity, be real, but at the same time, we also need to improve ourselves. So I think the way to do it is to really look up the people that you get attracted to, the people that you feel they match your personality, or the people that you'd like to emulate. Look them up, see what they're doing, and see if that matches your personality, and see how you can improve yourself that way. Because sometimes we get attracted to people that sort of like aligns with what we want to be. Right?
That's true.
And exactly. That's how we can emulate. Like one time I had this guy who made an impact on me. He used to be a Filipino senator in Canada, and he was a community leader. And there was something that really, he was doing something that really made an impact on me, was that he would go around to individually focus on them, like talking to them. And really when he talked to them, he made them really special and focus his attention on that person at that moment. And I thought, wow, I have never seen a real person besides my father have that ability and really practice being present for somebody. So every time I talk to people, I think of that person, because how I felt at the time was I want people to feel that feeling that I felt when I was speaking to that person. You see what I mean? So we can improve ourselves that way.
So the way you make people feel also matters, and practicing giving back. So practicing giving back is always being in a state of practicing giving back means we would give feedback, which means we would welcome feedback, which means also we would want to learn how to be better and everything. We'd be open to learning as well, and look up to people that we would like to emulate. So we'd look up to them, we'd watch them, maybe we'd absorb some of the way that they are, that the way that they make us feel. We would, by watching them and everything, we'd absorb that, and then we would also hopefully emanate that to people when we're communicating with them. So that would all of this, it sounds like to me, would elevate our results, and that would be through authenticity. And then it won't matter what people would be thinking, or some people are thinking, or if they secretly hate us, we may never know, but it won't matter, because that's not where we're focused at the moment when we're communicating with people. Awesome. I'm just going to check if there is, I'm still checking.
Yeah, and the word that I was looking for is social proof.
Oh, social proof. Yes.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It just came back to my.
Okay, there's so many. And then people can continue the conversation. And if you're watching us live, or if you're watching us wherever the video is, you can post in the comments, and we hope the conversation will continue. This is like a spark, a conversation spark. And if you want to answer the questions about what matters to you, who you are, what you stand for, how you feel about people that secretly hate you, do you secretly hate people that you're watching too sometimes? You can participate in the comments, and then we can keep this conversation going, and then see what happens and continue learning together. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Imie, that you see that we didn't cover about the topic?
I think that's about it. It's important to really know who you are, and really, that's like loving yourself, because when you know who you are, what your mission is, what matters to you and what matters to people, and always look for those things. Whenever you feel like, maybe somebody don't like me, or maybe someone hates me, or maybe somebody don't like what I said, focus on the good things that you're doing. Focus on your message. Focus on your vision and your mission to help people, because it really doesn't matter what people think of you. I think that is, you can't control their emotions and their feelings. People emotions and feelings, people are going to have that, time in their life where they are having a hard time and they don't see the positive in you. So just give them that space, I suppose, to make that, because that's their issue. It's not your issue at all. It's their issue. So sometimes, and that's another thing, sometimes when I run into problems like that, I look at the things that I've done. If I know that my intention was good and that I meant good, don't worry about what the other person thinks.
Yes, you check.
You see,
yes.
like we need to review see that what you did is right, what it feels right, and it is positive, and your intention is right, then that's what matters. Don't worry about the other person's point of view and feedback, because what matters is here.
You check in here rather than out there where you don't have control anyway. You don't have access to it, especially through a screen. You don't even have the people in front of you. You know, you can't even analyze their faces or try to guess, does that person hate me? Does that person hate me? I don't know. So that doesn't make any sense, especially on the social media.
It's hard to manage, right?
It is. It takes up space. It takes up some mental real estate up here. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. And like I said, we can continue.
One last thing, those things. The one last thing, the thing that we all must remember is that what that thought is destructive. Mm-hmm. When we started giving a space to that negative thought, it's destructive. Mm-hmm. So we need to snap out of it and just think of what I said before. Mm-hmm. And because those negative things, these are destructives, and it doesn't help you or anybody else. So
exactly, it doesn't align with loving yourself, like you were mentioning earlier, when you know who you are and what you stand for and everything. So that makes sense. Awesome. I'm very excited about this call. So now we get to go out and practice, right? Practice all of these different skills. And
I love some comments, so we can,
yes,
you know, if you comment.
Exactly. Comment, get the conversation started, make a video, write something, comment, ask questions, and we'll continue this. It could be a long conversation that starts from this short interview. So thank you so much, Imie, for taking the time to share with us. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Yeah, thanks for all you ladies watching. Hope to hear your comments and your feedback.
Looking forward to
Tell us anything that you've experienced.
Yes.
And how you've handled it, because those things also helped.
If you still have challenges that are in around that question, or if you practiced anything from the interview and it worked or didn't work, let us know, and then we can do another live with answers to your questions, for example. So take care, everyone. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. Thank you, Imie.